Hey everyone, let me be honest, I'm getting a bit tired of this whole YouTube thing, so I decided to install some cheats to do it for me. Cheating has always been an interesting topic in the world of video games. It's been around since the early days of gaming and has taken many different forms, from hacks to mods, cheat codes, or simply peeking at your friend's screen when playing Black Ops until they get mad. These types of cheating all range in difficulty and level of acceptance in the gaming community, but there's one specific type of cheating I experienced as a kid from one specific device that I wanted to focus on today. Cheating that's enabled through the Action Replay. To start, I want to give some background on the Action Replay's history, then get into my own experience with the device. The Action Replay is one of several third-party devices that you can use to modify your games in all sorts of fun, wacky, and morally questionable ways. They were created by the British electronics company Datel and have been developed for a variety of different computers and home consoles, dating surprisingly far back to the Commodore 64 in the early 80s. The Action Replay for Commodore 64 and Commodore Amiga proved to be very successful, as it could quickly and reliably save and reload a game from that point, something that wasn't standard in the video game industry at the time. This is actually where the name Action Replay comes from, referring to the idea that you can instantly replay a game from where you left off. After the success of the Commodore 64 and Commodore Amiga versions of the Action Replay, obviously Datel wanted to continue making the product, so we got new iterations for the NES and Sega Master System, and would continue to see Action Replays released for each following generation of consoles, from the SNES, Genesis, PlayStation, N64, Sega Saturn, and so on. But of course, Datel wasn't alone on their mission to let gamers cheat all they want, and in the 90s they faced some stiff competition, particularly from the Game Genie. In fact, Codemaster's Game Genie really seemed to be the most prevalent cheating device in the early 90s, and attracted so much attention that Nintendo themselves tried to sue Codemasters for violating copyright law, a lawsuit they would go on to lose. But the Action Replay persevered, and once development on the Game Genie 2 fell apart and was ultimately scrapped, the Action Replay was back in cheating business, oh boy. After struggling a bit in the 90s, the Action Replay was really able to break into the North American market and into my life in the 2000s. The series of devices had developed a lot over the years, going from relatively simple cartridges that allowed you to save and restart your game, to more high-tech systems enabling a wide variety of different tricks and cheats. We saw new Action Replays made for the Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, and Wii, but where the Action Replay was really at its peak, in my opinion, was with handhelds. The Game Boy and DS lines of systems each got several editions of the Action Replay, and, as far as I can tell without actual sales numbers, these did very well. Personally, the Action Replay DS was the one I owned as a kid, and the most recognizable of the bunch to many. This is the one I got after feeling left out when all of my friends asserted their dominance by walking through walls in Pokemon. It seemed to be the most popular way to cheat in DS games, and being a 9-year-old kid who just wanted to look cool on the bus to school in the morning, being able to give myself infinite Master Balls, walk on water, or just generally mess around within a game was mind-blowing. I remember one particular day on the school bus when one of my friends told me that the Action Replay let you change what Pokemon you played as in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Even though I didn't necessarily want to change up my Mystery Dungeon team, messing with the game like that sounded cool and rebellious to little me, so I decided to give it a shot. I booted up the Action Replay, selected the Change Pokemon cheat, and blam! My beloved Turtwig had morphed into a f***ing Wingull. And it was at this point that I realized there is no undo button on this thing. I had sunk hours of hard work into the game, but just like that, my characters I had spent so long playing with were locked away in the feathery prison of a f***ing discount seagull. And that made 9-year-old me so upset that I don't think I touched the Action Replay since. But that's just one story, because overall my friends and I still had tons of fun walking through walls and doing all sorts of crazy things I had never imagined were possible in video games. games. And the Action Replay DS was still a hit, meaning we would definitely see more to come. However, the popularity of the Action Replay and cheating devices in general seems to have faded dramatically in recent years. New iterations were still developed for the 3DS and PSP, but maybe it's just me, but I have never heard of anyone using these things. Perhaps that's why Datel has seemingly stopped making the product for the time being, as there has yet to be one for the Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, or Nintendo Switch. If I had to guess, I believe the rise of competitive gaming and speedrunning communities that generally frown upon cheating like this most likely contributed to the Action Replay's downfall. And maybe it's for the best, considering this was never how these games were intended to be played, and without cheat devices we can truly appreciate the worlds the developers created for us. Even so, the Action Replay and cheat devices like it will always have a place in many players' hearts. They are unique in the sense that these are the only physical devices ever created with the purpose of cheating in video games, as opposed to intangible things such as cheat codes and mods. These are real objects that people can have and hold and reminisce about all the times they hacked Nintendogs. I will never forget how breathtaking it felt just to do stupid things like walk on water in Pokemon for the first time, and even though I have no interest in cheating in my games like that anymore, I will always appreciate the fun, silly memories the Action Replay has created over the years. Man, that was a cool video, and it looks like those YouTube cheat codes I installed really worked. I just hope it didn't have any negative consequences. Ah, shit!